Bryce Harper is back, and the Phillies are rolling. With just 6 weeks left in the regular season, how are the Phils looking in terms of a postseason berth? Also, the Phillies 2023 schedule was released this week. I'll go through some of the biggest matchups next season. This episode of the Philly Sports Spot YouTube channel starts right now. What's going on, everybody, and welcome into this edition of the Philly Sports Spot YouTube channel. I am your host, Jordan Hirsch. Now, guys, before we get into this video, please make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel with notifications turned on so you never miss another upload, and also make sure you are following me on Instagram. The link will be in the description below. So let's get right into talking about the Phillies, who are winners of 5 straight. They had a great week this past week, going 6-2 against the Mets, Reds, and now the Pirates. So let's kick this off right away with the Phillies week in review. They started out last Saturday, splitting a doubleheader against the New York Mets, getting pounded in the first game 8-2, but Bailey Falter got them back on track in Game 2 of that series, of that doubleheader. Phillies win that one 4-1. Phillies then lose a tough one on Sunday, 10-9. A couple of big home runs by Mark Canha ended up lifting the Mets to that 10-9 victory. Phillies, of course, made that very close against Edwin Diaz in the 9th, but of course the Mets come away with the win, and that was the last time the Phillies lost. The Phillies then swept out the Cincinnati Reds in a 4-game series. It was their 4th 4-game series sweep this season, the first time they have done that since 1953. Phillies took Game 1 by a final score of 4-1. Noah Syndergaard looked fantastic in that game. Phillies then needed some late-inning heroics by Bryson Stott and Nick Maton to propel them to a 7-6 win on Tuesday. Nick Maton coming up with that big RBI single, the walk-off single there for him. Phillies then win on Wednesday, 7-5, in a game where the Reds just couldn't really chase down the Phillies. They made it close. Phillies went up 6-1 in that game, and the Reds kind of started clawing back, but the Phillies were able to hold them off and win the game 7-5. Aaron Nola was then outstanding on Thursday in the game that we ended up sweeping the Reds on. Phillies win that one 4-0. Aaron Nola, the first complete game win for a Philly this season, as he tosses 9 shutout innings in just 101 pitches against the Cincinnati Reds. Phillies win 4-0. Phillies sweep out the Reds. And then the big news, the news we'd all been waiting for, came on Thursday, that Bryce Harper would return to the Phillies lineup for the first time since June 25th when he injured that thumb in San Diego. So he returns last night against the Pirates and comes to the plate with everybody on their feet at Citizens Bank Park and promptly rips a 2-run single in the first inning with the bases loaded. They gave the Phillies a 2-0 lead there. The Phillies would then add on. Pirates made it close, but the Phillies got an extra insurance run in the 8th to make sure that they secured a 7-4 victory over the Pirates yesterday. Phillies winners of 5 in a row, and they are on a roll. They are now 71-55. They are 16 games over 500 for the first time since 2011, when they won 102 games that season. The Phillies are now starting to get some separation from the Brewers as well in the playoff picture, as the Phillies right now hold the second wild card spot in the National League. They are 8 games back of Atlanta for that first spot, 2.5 games up on the San Diego Padres for the second spot. Padres currently in that 3rd spot right now, so Phillies 2.5 games up on them, and the Phillies are now 5 games up on the Brewers, who lost again last night. They've been really struggling recently. So Brewers lose again last night to the Cubs in 10 innings. Phillies 5 games up on them, and they are looking really good in terms of making the playoffs this season. According to Fangraphs, they have an over 80% chance to make the playoffs this season. They're up into the top 10 in MLB's power ranking, so everything is looking good right now. Of course, we've kind of been here before the last few seasons. However, I think everybody probably feels that this season does feel a little bit different. I mean, this season the Phillies' schedule is really setting up nicely for them. They finish up this weekend series against the Pirates this weekend, so let's take a look now at the Phillies' week ahead, as the Phillies are going to wrap up this series against the Pirates Saturday and Sunday. That's today and tomorrow. Tonight's game is at 6:05 on NBC Sports Philadelphia. The Phillies will send Kyle Gibson to the mound against Tyler Beede for the Pirates, and tomorrow the Phillies will wrap up the series at 1:35 with Noah Syndergaard on the hill for the Phillies. And then after that, the Phillies will head out west for their second and final West Coast road trip this season, as they will head out to Arizona to play 3 games at 9:40 on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. All those games can be found on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Phillies will finally get a much-needed off day Thursday before they are out in San Francisco for the weekend. The Phillies take on the Giants next weekend. Game 1 will be seen exclusively on Apple TV+. That game is at 10:15, and then the next 2 games of that series, both on NBC Sports Philadelphia, at 4:05. And then also some injury news and notes to get to for the Phillies this week. Of course, Bryce Harper coming back from that thumb injury is the big one, but Brandon Marsh was also sent out on a rehab assignment, and there are rumors that he could return as early as today, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with the Phillies later today. But if not today, sometime early in this next week, Brandon Marsh is expected to return to the Phillies lineup after suffering that bone bruise in his knee and the sprained ankle back in Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago. So definitely a big name to get back for the Phillies, potentially up soon. Yairo Munoz was sent down to AAA when the Phillies recalled Bryce Harper, and when the Phillies bring Brandon Marsh back up, presumably they will either DFA or send Bradley Zimmer down to the minors as well. And also for pitching, Zach Wheeler unfortunately was placed on the 15-day IL with right forearm tendonitis. They say it's not a big deal, and Dave Dombrowski and Zach Wheeler both fully expect him to be back in this rotation on September 6th against Miami. So in a couple of weeks, Zach Wheeler should be back. He's only going to end up missing 2 starts. That ends up being the case, and those 2 starts are going to be against the Pirates and the Diamondbacks, which are really teams that you should beat anyways. And Bailey Falter was pretty good last night in Zach Wheeler's absence, so good to see there. Another starting pitcher that I think some of us maybe have forgotten about is Zach Eflin, who threw from 120 feet earlier this week. He's still probably ways away from being back. He hasn't even pitched in a sim game yet or gone on a rehab assignment. So we're still probably multiple weeks away from Zach Eflin potentially returning to the Phillies, but he could be a big guy to get back if this team's going to look to go far in the playoffs, as he could end up being a long man out of the bullpen, since the Phillies really have their 5 guys in the rotation set, so long as nobody gets hurt. But I think that we would all probably like Zach Eflin out there as a long man in the bullpen, maybe a little bit more than Nick Nelson, who has really struggled the last couple of weeks. Alright, switching gears a little bit now into the Phillies 2023 schedule that was released this past week. And it is now a balanced schedule throughout all of MLB, so every team will play every other team, meaning that the Phillies will play every team from the American League this upcoming season. It's going to slash their division games down from 19 games against each team down to 14. So I think probably a little beneficial there. The Phillies won't see the Mets and the Braves a whole lot anymore. But let's take a look at some of the biggest matchups upcoming season for the Phillies, as they will take on the Texas Rangers in Arlington to start the season on March 30th. They will then head to New York to take on the Yankees for the second series of 2023 before coming home for their first home series of the season against the Cincinnati Reds. Game 1 of that series will be on April 6th at 3:05. The Phillies will then have an off day that Friday and then play the Reds for that weekend as well, April 8th and 9th. Phillies do have some big and interesting matchups as well at home this season, especially with the new balanced schedule being in effect. Some of the biggest home matchups for the Phillies this season: they're going to take on the Boston Red Sox between May 5th and 7th, and these are for the weekend matchups. The Chicago Cubs, May 19th through the 21st. The Dodgers will come to town between June 9th and June 11th. A big Mets series between June 23rd and June 25th. That'll be the first time the Phillies take on the Mets in Philly in 2023. Washington Nationals visit June 30th through July 2nd. The San Diego Padres will be here after the All-Star break for a 4-game series in 3 days between July 14th and 16th. That Saturday, July 15th, the Phillies have a built-in split doubleheader against the San Diego Padres. So a very interesting schedule quirk there. The Phillies will also take on the Kansas City Royals at home between August 4th and 6th. So the first time the Royals will be here since 2016. Minnesota Twins will come to town between August 11th and the 13th. Big matchup against St. Louis Cardinals between August 25th and the 27th. And the Marlins will pay another visit here between September 8th and 10th. Mike Trout and the Los Angeles Angels will be here for the final week of August, as the Phillies will take them on between August 28th and 30th in Philadelphia. So another chance for our fans to see Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani with the Angels. A couple of other interesting schedule quirks for the Phillies with this balanced schedule is that they will have 3 West Coast trips now instead of 2, including pretty much back-to-back West Coast trips where in May, where they will head out west for a week, come back home for a week, and then head right back out west. So the Phillies will have a back-to-back, pretty much West Coast swing in May. The Phillies will also play in the Little League Classic. It was announced earlier in the week. They're going to take on the Nationals in Williamsport on August 20th on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. That is technically a home game for the Nationals, so the Phillies will still have 81 home games, pretty much then 80 road games and 1 neutral site game. And then potentially the biggest news out of this schedule is that the Phillies, for most Monday through Thursday night games this season, in every month, the Phillies will start their games at 6:40 instead of 7:05. So Monday through Thursday, this entire season, this entire upcoming season, is that the main start time for the Phillies will be at 6:40. Friday games will continue to be at 7:05 throughout the entire season. And finally, one last thing to get to this episode is that the Eagles will take on the Miami Dolphins in their final preseason game. You can find that game tonight at 7 p.m. on NBC 10. So it's a final preseason game for the Eagles as they will take on the Dolphins. And then they start for real in a couple of weeks. On September 11th, up in Detroit is when the Eagles will kick off their regular season. But one more chance to see the Birds in action in preseason play is tonight. Alright, and that is going to wrap things up for this edition of the Philly Sports Spot YouTube channel. Again, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to my channel with notifications turned on so you never miss another upload. I post every Saturday. You could also follow me on Instagram. The link will be down in the description below. You could also just look me up. It's at Philly Sports Spot. That's PhillysSport. So just one S between sport and spot. So until next time, guys, let's go Phillies. We got the MVP back, baby.